Here's a KDK 16-inch oscillating fan. Around the early to mid 1980s. Model E40KT, KDK, made in USA. Draws 0.63 amps. This is a fan that I've had for a while, but it needed some attention. So when I first got the fan, I had it shipped to me. Got a good deal on it on Marketplace, and the guy shipped it to me, but unfortunately the box was squashed and this piece here was shattered into many different pieces. And so now it's all glued back together. So there was that. After I got it back together, there was a problem with the 5-way oscillation not functioning correctly because it wasn't lined up right in there somehow. I think I got that fixed. And then the fan needed to be lubricated also. And with these fans, I think it's important to note that these have a riveted motor, so you can't really, there's no good way to really lubricate the fan. You just have to, I mean, unless you're going to drill out the rivets, which who's crazy enough to do that? Know anybody? The only way to really lubricate these is to try to put oil straight into the bearings from the front and the back. And on my McGraw-Edison fan that looks just like this, except it says McGraw-Edison, not KDK, I tried to use, initially I used this zoom spout, and I found that it did not penetrate. It didn't work its way into the bearing. And I think I caught it just in time. I was running it in the bedroom, and I woke up one morning, there was kind of a weird sound where it just kind of sounded like the fan was slowing down a little bit, making a weird noise. And so I shut it off. I got up and I shut it off, and the motor housing was really warm, and I realized that it was about to burn up. The bearings were about to seize up. And it turns out that the zoom spout, I mean, it's a great synthetic oil if you're able to oil your bearing wicks, and or if you have oil ports or whatever, then this is fantastic. But in the case of these fans where you're relying on the oil to work its way into the bearing over time, you really need to use this stuff, this 3-in-1 with a cleaner in it. Normally I wouldn't recommend something like this to lubricate a fan, something that has the cleaning solvent in it, but unfortunately it seems to be the case where you do need that stuff to effectively penetrate in through the gunk, the rust and the gummed up oil that's in the bearing, and work its way in there. If you've picked up an older KDK or McGraw-Edison or Panasonic fan from this era, they're all pretty much going to have the riveted motors, and I think that's an important point to make, is you really just have to try to put oil in these fans and run them for a while, pay attention to them, and just continuously, periodically add a couple more drops, try to work it into the bearings as well as you can. But on that Edison fan, after I used this stuff, it freed the bearings right up, and I haven't had a problem with it since. So it seems like with these fans, or with the riveted motors where there's no real good way to lubricate them, you do need that cleaning agent, and this seems to do the trick, and I have not had a bad experience with it yet. I have there's another version of this too that's actually for electric motors. I'm not sure if that would work the same way or not, but this is actually like a cleaning lubricant that is very effective for penetrating into bearings, working through the gunky, gummed up oil and freeing up your fan bearings. So that's been my experience with it. These are really nice fans, other than the pain in the ass of the riveted motors. These are very high quality, very strong running fans. I think this one must have seen quite a bit of sun time. I mean, I think that KDK logo would have been red. Should have been like a solid red. But now it's more of a yellow. And the same thing with the switch plate. The logo on the switch plate, the red is faded into more of a orangish yellow. The blue, however, still looks good, but the red faded out, so that's kind of weird. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with how this fan turned out. I think it's should be good to go now. I guess we'll start it on high speed. How about that? Five-way oscillation appears to be working how it's supposed to now. What it was doing before was, if I would click it all the way over to one side, it didn't want to click back. I would have to run the oscillation and wait for it to come back the other way, and then click it back into place from there. So I took that apart and tried to get it set in there a little bit better, and seems to have done the trick, at least for now. Hopefully it lasts in the oscillation. Air movement on these fans is very impressive. I think these outdo the Lasco Galaxy fans. see what our spin down has to say. I think we're doing pretty good. Yeah, with these fans that have the riveted motors, if you find one that's used and you think the bearings are a little stiff on it, really got to pay attention to that. And I would not use a synthetic oil like the Zoom spout, because it's just not going to work its way into the bearings. In my experience, you need to use something like this that has a cleaner in it, at least at first, and then I guess maybe you could work in the Zoom spout behind that. But at least for a while, I would try this, and then you really got to pay attention to it. Just run the fan, pay attention to the spin down, feel it out, see if the fan's getting warm at all, warmer than it should be, and just take your time with it and use your best judgment. Otherwise, you could potentially seize up your bearings, burn up your motor, ruin your fan, and that wouldn't be good. These are really cool fans. So yeah, pretty cool to have one of these. I think the 16-inch KDK version of this, the made in USA, presumably with Japanese imported parts, the Matsushita, KDK is a Matsushita brand. I'm pretty sure that they imported the parts in, and fans were at least assembled and packaged in the United States. So that's cool anyway, but I think the 12-inch version of this is much more common. You don't really see too many of the 16s around. So pretty cool to find one of these, and even better that I was able to get it working and in respectable condition after being busted up and shipping and just being an old fan. Happy with how it turned out. So that's the KDK mid-1980s 16-inch oscillating, 5-way oscillating or double oscillating. It's different terms for that. Fully automatic oscillation, I guess is what they call it on here. Full automatic oscillation. That's a KDK slogan. Anyway, thanks for watching.